announcements up here on the table. You can come up after the meeting and look at them. Are there any announcements from the floor?
Thanks, Todd Richard and Mount Hogg.
Hey, Todd.
I'm going to take over the treasurer secretary responsibilities for you.
Okay. Is there any others? There's literature back there. The softbound's free for the taking. The hardbound is what costs a group, and you can see Todd. Also, I'm going to pass around the basket, and keep in mind with the 7th edition. Okay, the person I asked to give a lead tonight, I've known him for a long time, and I love Tom's spirit. I love his spirit because when I've been going through things, there's just something when he talks to me that I know it's going to get better, because he does work these steps. And he's another person that always has his hand out, and he always has a good attitude about life. So if you guys will help me welcome Tom.
Thanks, Lisa. My name is Tom, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, I appreciate Lisa thinking of me when she had this duty of finding people to give leads. I know that's sometimes kind of stressful. Fill up all the days. There's five. There's 5 Tuesdays. Yeah, see. Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. I'm from New Carlisle, or not from there. I live in New Carlisle, near there, and don't get up there that much. But I do know a few people in the area. Used to get around Troy and stuff like that. But anyhow, my story starts out just probably like a whole lot of other alcoholics. Kind of raging dad for a raging alcoholic for a dad. He was an abusive parent. Things were never very pleasant at home. So the thing I remember the most about my childhood is fear. All these things I've heard from other alcoholics too. That's one of the things that seem to be common among many of us is that fear. I've felt fear as long as I can remember. Sometimes fear of the unknown. Sometimes fear of my dad. I was scared to death of him all the time. Because he could change just like that. And that's another thing that's not uncommon among alcoholics. One time I think I'm doing good, and the next time, it's a backhand. So I learned to be very cautious and wary, and still always had that fear in the pit of my stomach that something bad was going to happen. I just grew up that way. When I was barely out of high school, 17. I was still 17 when I graduated in June, and 5 days later I joined the Air Force. And a lot of people leave home. A lot of people go somewhere else for a job or something. I escaped. I never look at it as leaving home to go do something. I escaped from where I was, and that was the tool for me. It was right there. All I had to do was get my dad to sign for me since I was only 17, and all he said is, "Where's the pen?" Because he really didn't care much whether I stayed or left anyhow. So I didn't drink much in my teenage years. It just wasn't readily available there. I lived in a dry county. That doesn't mean you couldn't get it, of course. I mean, all the adults did, but the kids had a little harder time of it. But you could get it if you wanted it, but I just never did. But once I got in the Air Force, I turned 18 in November, and in January I was on my way to Germany. So I spent the remainder of my enlistment in Germany, and oh my God, I thought I just died and went to heaven. 18 years old, and you could get it, because as soon as I got there, they started shoving beer at me, so I started drinking beer, and First time in my life I felt like somebody. You know, I mean, God, I drink that, but if fear went away just like that, God, I couldn't believe that. You know, I thought, man, I can't believe my luck. I found the key to surviving life. I can live now. I'll be able to make it now because I have this thing called alcohol. And boy, it was quite a good time for me for a long time. And there were consequences. There were all kinds of other things, but those were nothing compared to the feeling that I got when I drank. So I was completely willing to endure those things for the relief that I got from alcohol when I drank. Not just relief either. I mean, I felt really good. But that was the start of my alcoholic life. And certainly wasn't spend a lot of time drinking and then go to Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, that was my life for a long time. That's all I knew was alcohol. And of course, being in the Air Force and in another country, I experienced a lot of things that most people don't experience. I traveled a lot of other countries and drank wine in France and wine in Italy, and it's not too much different than being an alcoholic not in the military or in the Air Force. I can sum up my whole career. Let's say I drank in Germany 3 times. I drank in Korea twice. I drank in Michigan. I drank in Florida. I drank in California. I drank in Texas. I drank in New Mexico. I drank. I just drank. Wherever I went, I drank. But it certainly wasn't that simple. I gave a lead quite a while ago, and I somehow got on my own topic of feelings. And I talked about during the whole lead. I talked about feelings because there was so much of my feelings into my alcoholism. And a good friend of mine, in fact, I was just talking to Dick. We used to do the beginners meeting up at Troy, and I was trying to figure out how to do it, how to communicate. And he told me, just talk about your feelings. Don't talk about. So everyone's done everything that you have done. Your drunk-a-log is just different places, maybe different characters and stuff, but it's going to be basically the same. Everybody's got drunk and did crazy shit, But how did you feel when you drank? So that's what kind of ties us all together as well, and that is a whole lot more common core to that than anything else. So, the feelings, that comes out. That's why, because I've thought a lot about how alcohol made me feel, not just when I drank it, but how I felt after when I was trying to recover from a really bad drunk, and the remorse and the guilt and all that kind of stuff, because that goes along with it for me. But I had a 22-year career in the Air Force, and drank in all those places. Drank in Right Pass. As a matter of fact, drank in Ohio. I left that one out, didn't I? Drank pretty hard too. But the crazy thing about it is it's not just the drinking, but I felt like I could do other things like get married and have kids. I have a kid, and I did that too. That was also in Germany, and God, what a crazy thing to do, to be an alcoholic the way I was, and the woman that I married was not stupid, She was a really intelligent woman, and I to this day I don't understand why she would marry somebody like me with my life skills and my habits and all that stuff, because I didn't have any life skills. I stopped when I started drinking alcohol, all that stopped. So I didn't know anything about life. I didn't know anything about taking care of a family. I didn't know anything about doing something with kids. How do you take care of a kid? No, I didn't know any of that stuff. So I was pretty much better go get drunk and I better go have something to drink so I can settle my nerves about this one, you know. Of course, like I've heard many times before, it only take one drink and I was gone. That was my pattern for the very first time I used alcohol. I used it alcoholically. The very first time I drank, I wanted another one because of the feeling I got. I wanted another one, and then that led to another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. You know, and when I finally decided to not drink anymore, it was never because of my own doings. It was for some artificial reason, like the bar closed and you must leave now. That was the biggest. You know, because as long as there's more to drink, you know, you go to a party and people leave before the keg's empty. You know, why the hell would you do that? You know, if there's more there, why do you leave? You know, it didn't make any sense to me at all. So that was my alcoholic drinking from the very start. That was I said I drank in all those places. On the way up here, I was thinking about where your bottom was. I thought about that quite a bit. You know, I thought that would be pretty neat to talk about. Where did you hit bottom and everything? I started thinking about it. So, well, there was this time. Well, no, there was that time. No, there was that time. You know, there were several bottoms there that any one of them would have qualified to a person of, you know, reasonable intelligence to say, you know, I ought to quit this. You know, this is as low as I really should go or want to be. But that didn't stop me. I drank again and again and again. Again, my drinking deals with locations and geography. So, you know, I hit my bottom once in the second trip to Germany. I spent a total of 10 years there, 3 different times. Drank every time. But getting ahead of myself there. But I hit a bottom in Korea. I hit the bottom, I believe, the biggest bottom I have, I classify it as in Florida, in Miami area. Southern California, I think I left that one out too. I hit a really bad bottom in Southern California. So yeah, which bottom do I take? And when I finally got sober, it wasn't because I hit the bottom and decided at that moment to stop drinking. It wasn't that way with me at all. I hit all those bottoms, and every time I said I would not drink again, swore off, whatever you want to call it. But that never lasted, of course. But when I got married again in one of my other trips to Germany, I married in the 70s for the second time. And eventually had a couple of kids too. And so I made three daughters that I have totally. And to jump ahead a little bit, the youngest one never saw me drink. I was drinking when she was born, but she never saw me drink. But the birth of those kids started making me think that I should do something about my drinking. And I say it in that manner because I believe it's important that you start thinking about that stuff, you know. For me, I would, you know, the lightning bolt was not going to come out of the sky and strike me sober, you know. I wasn't going to hit a bottom and decided that this is too much. I just done too many bad things. I'm not going to drink anymore. That didn't work. But what worked with me was wanting to quit. And I started wanting to quit. And I went for a long time not wanting to quit, because one of my trips, was a 1-year trip to Korea, and my roommate there, he went to treatment, and I was like, dumbass, what the hell would you want to do that for? You know, I mean, oh my God, we're here in Korea. You know, if I'm here for a year with nothing but booze and bars, and you know, I spent a whole year. I worked 60, 70 hours a week. So when I wasn't working, I was downtown drinking and running around. When I wasn't drinking and running around, I was working. You know, a year of that. I mean, why the hell would you want to go to treatment? And so I didn't want to quit. Yeah. I wanted that feeling. I wanted that thing that the booze did for me, you know, never mind all the other stuff that goes along with that. So there was a long period of time when I had no intention of quitting, because alcohol was my savior, you know, magic elixir of life, and I couldn't get away from that part of it and what it did for me, how it made me feel. So I certainly did not want to do a crazy thing like go to treatment, and or even think about stopping. But then after that, my second child was born, I started thinking about quitting. And it took a long time after that. It took another trip to Korea. And in fact, one of my bottoms was in Miami, Florida. And that was probably the worst I'd ever been, the worst I ever treated my wife and then my daughter. She was too young to remember it. I don't think she does. But I think she was affected by it. But I really did not treat them good at all. I mean, well, that's an understatement of the year. I didn't treat them very good. Treated them like shit. I really treated them like you wouldn't treat animals that way. You know, you would give them more affection and more of your time than I did. You know, and I talked before about having one drink and not being able to stop. I mean, that's not a new revelation for anyone in here, I'm sure. But I believed it so much every time that I did that. I wanted to, you know, I just have two this time. I believed it every time. I couldn't. It's just unfathomable that I could be that stupid. You know, if you do something, you know, a few times, a reasonable person, you do something a few times and it doesn't work out, or it works out in a certain way, and you stop doing that. You know, but for me, the alcoholic, you know, just to guess, you know, say, did it the same way for 5,732 times, and it always ended up the same way. But 5,733rd time was going to be different. You know, and I remember my daughter had her first birthday in Florida, and having a first birthday party for her, and it was going to be like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that. So I worked in the morning and got off for the afternoon for that party, but I was early. And I got off at like 11:30 or something like that. The birthday party wasn't until 1. So I'll just stop by, you know, have a beer before I go there, you know, and just a celebration, you know, this birthday, you know, this is my daughter's first birthday, you know, boy, oh boy. I was just proud as could be, you know. I'll stop by the club and have one, maybe two tops. You know, when I got there wasn't much of a party left, you know. It was well, it's when the club closed. The club closed at midnight. That's when I went home, you know. And God, that was one of the, you know, that I believe that got me to thinking at least. And again, I mention this stuff because it's the thinking that gets the thinking that got me drunk, you know. But changing that thinking was a thing that got me started to get closer to not having to drink, get closer to breaking that pattern. And God, I just couldn't. It was horrible. I couldn't get it done. And I finally got back to the States here in Ohio, and fell into the same pattern. Of course, you know. But then another child on the way, and I could tell in my middle daughter there that there was something wrong there, and couldn't, you know, that Well, here I am saying again, a little bit of understatement. I could tell there was something wrong. Okay, I wanted her to go to on Saturday morning, get up, and Dad wants her little daughter to come with him to eat ice cream. That's what dads do. I want to do things with my kids today. It's going to be a kid day, right? Well, she had a little bit of experience with Dad already. She knew the only way I could get her to go was to tie her into her baby seat in the back seat, screaming and kicking and crying, because she didn't want to go with me anywhere. I was a bad guy. So what if I get up Saturday morning, and I haven't drank since Friday night, and today's going to be different, and by God, I'm going to make it different, because I'm going to be a good dad today. Well, she didn't get the message, She didn't want to go anywhere with me. Well, I couldn't convince her, So I'd go down the driveway with her screaming bloody murder because she had to go with her dad. And of course, I'd get her out and I'd, get her settled down and everything, and then I'd come back thinking, well, that was a success. That didn't go too bad, What a way to live, Yeah, it's terrible. And that really got me to thinking about it. And it took a while, though. It took another 2 or 3 years after that. And by fate, and ironically, went back to Germany for the 3rd time. My old haunts, went back to exactly the same place where I started drinking, where I learned to drink, where I learned to drink alcoholically. I still had friends there. I still had people that I used to hang out with. Went back to, they were all right there. There was one bar there in that area that still had a mug behind the bar with my name on it. That was pretty hot shit there, I go in there, walk in the door and they're already filling my mug with my name on it, boy, that was a matter of pride with this alcoholic, to drink alcoholically to stupor, with my name on it. This stuff is so crazy. But started drinking alcoholically still there, though. There was a place there where I worked in Germany. You have to have the union makes you have a place for civilian workers to get alcohol. They have to be able to buy beer. They have to serve food, and then they have to get beer. But they're allowed to drink on the job, or at least some semblance of it. They're quick for lunch under any circumstance, for sure. 50 paces, 50 steps from my office was the bar. And I'll tell you, and it was under these circumstances that I got sober. Because I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had this other little girl, and I thought, what the hell am I going to do here? I can't do this again. I can't expose her to all of this, I did some pretty bad shit with the other one. And one of the worst ones I remember is making her take off my boots when I got home from work, Go home from the bar. Her trembling in fear. That's not a pleasant memory. I got this other daughter. And so I started thinking about it. First, I did like other alcoholics. I started trying to control my drinking again. I'll drink, but I'm not going to get drunk like I usually do, make an ass out of myself. I'm not going to get drunk and come in and raise hell and all that shit. I'm just going to drink like a normal person, and that's what I'm going to do. I got a handle on it this time. Some things with an alcoholic never change. One drink and I'm off. I'm off to the races. I'm off to the races, and again, when the bar closed, that's when I knew it was time to quit. So that's the way that went. And then, I don't know, I really believe it was all of the thoughts that I put into wanting to quit, starting to want to quit. I believe all that time, I think it finally paid off. I finally picked up the phone and I called somebody and said, I think I got a problem with drinking. Do you know what I can do? And there happened to be an AA meeting once a week at the base chapel on Ramstein Air Base. This was like Tuesday. And so I had to wait. I had to wait for the weekend, but I didn't drink. I didn't drink from that time until Saturday night, and went to my first AA meeting, and that was turned out to be. I'll tell you what, that was my sobriety day is March 5th, 1982. That's the day I stopped drinking. That was on Tuesday, and Saturday was my first AA meeting, and I haven't had a drink since. It's possible. I know it's not, and it doesn't happen for everyone. It just has to happen the way that, however it does. But however you get here, you're here. But for me, I never had to go out again. I felt when I first walked in, there's these feelings again. When I first walked into that room, I felt like these people were people that were just regular people. When they talked with credibility. I'm not talking about accuracy or anything like that, but it's like they really knew what they were talking about. They weren't, they were not counselors, they weren't preachers, they weren't spouses. Of course they had spouses, but it's not like those people talked. It was people that talked just like they knew who I was. And it was, it's attraction rather than promotion. And there was attraction to that first night, to that first meeting I went to that attracted me. The people in that room attracted me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I had no contact with it before in my life. Never been to an AA meeting, never had any real knowledge of it except for the jokes you tell at the bar, You guys knew all them, so I won't go and waste any time on that. But they really give me something that made me want to come back. And that was the only meeting around the time, so I had to wait another week. And I thought, oh my God, they give me a coin, they give me one of those tokens, a poker chip, a white poker chip. They said the white one symbolizes surrender. I don't remember hardly anything went on. I don't even remember that. I just remember I had that token in my pocket, because I was so nervous I couldn't hold on to anything anyone was saying for hardly at all. I just remember the feeling. But I had that chip in my pocket, and I kept it with me the whole week. Back the next week, I ended up found meetings in other towns, but had to drive 20, 30 miles to go to another meeting, another night. And so there were people always willing to take you there or to go with you. And so I started going to other meetings. Still, it was no more than probably 2 a week. That's all that was probably possible. Maybe 3 if I really pressed it hard to get to 3 meetings. But somehow that was enough in that environment. And I don't understand it. I've been in environments where you couldn't drink at all, and I'd managed to get drunk. Here I went back to my old stomping grounds, and where they have beer trucks going down in the parade. You go down to the city, they have a parade or something for a celebration, and the beer trucks are going down there passing out mugs of free beer, And you drive down the road, and there's a wine tasting, they're selling wine, they have a big sign that says free wine here. And under those circumstances, I managed to get sober. I managed to get sober and stay sober. God, I'll always be grateful for that. And I know that this program works under any circumstance. It works. It'll work. Alcohol is cunning, baffling, and powerful. We're taught that early on, and it certainly is. But AA is powerful too. It's powerful enough for me to get sober under the worst possible conditions that I could think of. I know there's worse. People have worse conditions too, but they're able to get sober. And then I started working a program. I met some people that were just fantastic. Being in the military, most of the people there, of course, are military. There were some civilians, and eventually turned out to be my sponsor. Was the most intelligent, wisest person I ever met in my life. He was a black man in Germany, retired there, and he'd been sober for 16 years. And he had so many terrible things happen to him. I don't know how he ever managed to stay sober, but he did. But he always dressed real nice. He wore a little tag that said, "Here comes old dumb Charlie." And I asked him one time, I said, "Charlie, why in the hell do you wear that tag? I mean, everybody respects you so much." And he told me, he said, I never want to forget that you can be too smart for this program. So I wanted that to remind me. So he was very, very influential in my early sobriety. And he helped a lot of other people too. But I started working the steps there, and then I told you I was married earlier. I was married in Germany to a German, and had that daughter. Of course, that went to hell in a handbasket. I didn't know what the hell to do with a kid. I didn't know how to take care of after that the marriage didn't last very long at all. But I didn't know how to care for a child that you have after you leave. Like to stay in contact, complicated stuff like that. Let them know where I am. And to give some love and support, that you're not alone, blah, blah, blah. I didn't do any of that shit. None of it. I abandoned them. I abandoned her and the child. I abandoned both of them when she was 2 years old. I left her. Just plain abandoned them. I didn't leave him with money or leave him with where to get in touch with me. Of course, they figured it out. Being a GI, it's not too hard to locate him. But I just didn't know. I just didn't have any feeling to do that kind of stuff. And by the time I got sober, there she was 16 years old, and I was able to meet with her in the town where she was living at the time and make amends. As a result of working these steps in Alcoholics Anonymous. And then it was a long story, but she ended up staying in Germany. Her mother moved to America, so I couldn't make any amends to her because there was an ocean apart, 2 continents. So I was not able to make amends to her. But if I ever get a chance, I will. But I got a chance to make my amends to my daughter. So I made 2 or 3 trips down there, and that continued all the time on the station there. Well, then one time I went down there, and she didn't tell me anything about it, but her mother was there. And I happened to be making the amends, so I was in that part of my 12-step program. So all of a sudden I hit in the face, I was ready to run, you either run or run and hide or you face it, God damn, what am I going to do now? I can't do this. I can't face her, So I did. And it went well. Fortunately, it didn't have to, and I know a lot of times it don't. I was prepared for that if it didn't go well. But it did, and so I was able to make amends to her as well. That was just fate, Because if I'd gotten out of that without doing that, well, I haven't seen her since. I haven't seen her mother since then. That was the last time I saw her was when I made amends. So that was just plain fate. So I was able to get that done. Don't have that hanging over me, which it could have been. So this program taught me how to do things like that. The program taught me how to face life on life's terms. It taught me to be able to talk to other people. When I first went to the meeting, my hands were sweat so much I couldn't they're just clammy, and I'd hyperventilate if I tried to talk. I'd hyperventilate, like when they would go around, they used to read the 12 steps. They used to have little cards, and each person would read a step. Somebody would read the first part, and then 12 people would read the steps one at a time. That was somebody shoved one in my hand one time, I said, what the hell am I going to do with this? So you got to read it. Hell, I was hyperventilating, I had to read step 10, I was hyperventilating when it was on 3, because it was getting close to me. That's how bad, that's how fearful I was of everything. I can't say I was, fearful of this, fearful of that. I was afraid of everything, because everything was an unknown to me. Because I had a term that I learned from a grapevine years ago, the sober knowledge of life. I had no sober knowledge of life. All of my knowledge of life was learned in alcohol. Started out when I was a kid with my dad. Everything I learned from him was tainted with alcoholism, influenced by alcoholism. Everything I learned as soon as I got away from home was alcohol related, alcohol influenced. Everything I knew about life was alcohol influenced. Only when I came to this program I learned about the sober knowledge of life, how you interact with people, and how do you talk to people, and how the right thing to do. What is the right thing to do? How do you come up with the right thing to do when the first thing you do is go to your friends at the bar and say, you won't believe what those son of a bitches did to me today. They told me the right thing to do, sure, but that's all I knew about life. In my sobriety, though, I think Lisa probably remembers this. In my sobriety, 2 or 3 years into it, I was trying to get this sober knowledge of life and face life on life's terms. I found out that's not always easy. I found out there's some really, really tough stuff that you have to face up to and handle, and I had a hard time with that. I fell into a deep depression. I was in a period of depression for the hard part of it lasted about 6 months, and I didn't know what the hell to do. I just did not know what to do. My head was so screwed up. I didn't drink. I did not drink. I kept going to meetings, let my sponsor know what I was up to, and other people, they knew what it was all about. And I tried going to the doctor, saying, I can't sleep. I got a hold of the perfect doctor. I said, nobody ever died of lack of sleep. So that was the extent of my medical help, So I had been for AA, I don't know what the hell it was about. Because that was my lifeline. AA was my lifeline. The program was my lifeline. The people in the program were my lifeline. And I got through that period of depression. Came out the other side. It seemed like I was stronger, a little bit stronger, because I had experienced, I had faced something and endured it, instead of face something and go to the bar. First time in my life that I faced something that big and was able to not run, And I thought I was done with that, and then hell, I don't know, I was in a program then, the next time, probably 15 or 16 years. And there was a life-changing event, one of the life-changing events that you have in your life. There's many of them. But this happened to be one of those, and I've experienced another period, another bout of depression. And I've learned just not uncommon with alcoholics and drug addicts and everyone else who has gone through life without the steady stream of dealing with life things on life terms, so that you work up to dealing with big things and everything. I kind of skipped all those little things and everything, and so big things would knock me for a loop. And that one there, though, I knew I was going to make it because of the other time, and because I knew that I had the program. But that's really an exaggeration there. I knew I was going to make it. When I was in the middle of the night, wondering if I'm going to make it or not through the night, to see the light of day again, I knew I was going to make it. That was a hell of an exaggeration. There was a lot of times I didn't. So I did. And that's been a long enough time ago now that I really don't think that was going to be come back on me again. Because I've learned many things in that age since then about life. It's sober knowledge of life. I've learned stuff since then. And I'll just continue to learn. You know, at least they invited me to come over here. You know, that's one of the things about giving a lead is because you learn things about yourself. I did. When I give a lead, I learn things about myself. There's usually something that comes out that was just tickling me before. You know, kind of rattling around up there, you don't want to get out, and so sometimes there's a trick. And being in the presence of other alcoholics is one of the most powerful things of this program. It's just, I am very grateful to be an Alcoholics Anonymous. Very grateful. Because I didn't stand a snowball chance at all learning anything about anything except drinking and what goes on in life. If it had not been for this program and the people in it. So I'm grateful to you all. Thank you, Lisa, for inviting me.
Thanks, Tom.